I'm Tommy D from the KnicksBlog.com. The NBA Finals are over. It only took 5 games for the Miami Heat to dispose of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Here to talk about it with me, because Moke Hamilton, for some reason, is MIA. I think we know he may have been partying a little too hard in South Beach. But anyway, Brian Geltzeiler is here. I mean, what's Moke doing right now? Think about it. If we can't get in touch with him, I hope he's okay.
Oh, I'm sure Moke's fine. I will promise you that. Now, where he is and what he's doing, I'm not really sure, but you or I might want to be down there with him doing some of the same thing.
My producer extraordinaire, Jeff Goldman, who you know, says that he's MIA in MIA, which...
Not bad,
you know,
not bad.
You got to maybe get him in front of the camera.
I would like that.
Okay, LeBron James, I mean, that to me was one of the most all-time great performances in a playoff series and in a playoff run. You know, it's very easy, guys like us who've watched basketball for a long time, it's very easy for us to be critical about how the game is now versus how it used to be, and it's always going to be that way. LeBron James really put on an all-time great performance.
I will say this, in terms of a single playoff performance, that was as good as I've ever seen. As good as any Magic Johnson has ever had, as good as any as Michael Jordan has ever had. LeBron he did everything his team needed him to do. He was their best ball handler. He was their best scorer. He was their best rebounder. He was their best passer. He was their best on-the-ball defender. He was their best help defender. And if Miami had any issue whatsoever throughout these playoffs, it was they couldn't have LeBron doing as much as he was doing. There's not enough great things to say about him. And I think also in terms of fairness, it will be fair to also say not only did he do a fantastic job on the court as a player, his grace last night after he won the championship, after he won the MVP, the level of class that he handled everything with was on a very high level. And I think with the way he was criticized over time, Tommy, it's very important to make note of.
And the criticism was valid for me because he quit in Boston. He quit on Cleveland. You knew he was leaving when he had that 10 or 11 turnover performance in Boston. He knew he couldn't win with his teammates as much as he tried, and I think that's valid. But the best point is, what I like about superstars and what I respect most about superstars is that they make their weaknesses somewhat strengths. He knocked down big threes. He knocked down big free throws. All the things that people had criticized him for, not taking big shots, getting guys involved maybe too much. He got guys involved, Mike Miller, Chalmers, Battier, throughout the course of the series, that allowed them to blow the Thunder out.
Let me say this, first of all, in terms of what happened in Boston in 2010, I'm always not so quick to judge that, because I do know from very good sources that LeBron found out a couple hours before that game that the organization was keeping secrets from him that involved his personal life,
sure,
including teammates. So from that standpoint, it was difficult for him to engage himself at that point. Not an excuse, just a fact. In terms of looking at LeBron and what he's done here in the playoff and just the vast, diverse amount of ability that he's shown, it's been absolutely incredible. And I look at him from a legacy standpoint, and he's put himself on the map here from a legacy standpoint. And again, just a tremendous, tremendous playoff, a guy that took a ton of criticism, but he learned what he needed to do personally. And not only that, on the basketball court. Playing the game closer to the rim was the whole key. LeBron in the post was what really won this series for Miami. LeBron off the dribble, and it wasn't a lot of perimeter LeBron.
He attacking the basket ferociously, like you never seen before. I mean, he is the combination of Magic and Jordan, just in terms of grace and power. And, you know, for me, it's widen the gap with a guy like Carmelo Anthony. What he was able to do from a maturity standpoint really shows that gap is widened, and because of that, the gap is widened with the Heat and the Knicks' chance to get through the Heat and get to an NBA Finals. When Shane Battier comes and signs with the Heat, he plugged in holes that Miami had in terms of weaknesses. The Knicks really need to do that this offseason. The question becomes, how far are they from being able to compete with the team that we saw this past couple of games?
Tommy, they're miles away. They're miles away. Because here's the thing. Right now, the Knicks, currently constituted with Jeremy Lin back, whether or not Smith and Novak are back, not as important. With Jeremy Lin back, it's a 45 to 50 win basketball team. It's a team that at best their upside is to win one round of the playoffs. That's it. Now you'd say, okay, that's a building block from where they've been, and I would agree with you. Here's the problem. You don't have the wherewithal to add players. This is what you have. You're stuck with this because of the contracts that you have. The Knicks, when you look at the Knicks next to the Heat, there's a huge gap. It's going to, the Knicks, in terms of this era, the Knicks will never conquer this Miami Heat team. They're not going to be able to add the necessary personnel to do that.
That's what bothers me most about them not bringing in Phil Jackson, because you bring in Phil, and maybe the roster needs some tweaking. Maybe you give Phil some power to do some of those things in terms of adjustments. But the Battier-type acquisitions, they can happen in New York. Not everybody's going to be moving to Miami because there's just not a lot of opportunity there. If you have Phil here, then you have an opportunity to improve your team very, very quickly, and that rivalry, I think, that gap gets closed much sooner. Now I think it's going to take a long time.
Well, it certainly would have. And here's the thing. For Phil, it wouldn't have been some power, Tommy. It would have been all the power.
Sure.
He would have been the Knicks czar of the organization in charge. But Phil will get guys to do things they wouldn't normally do. Share the basketball, play team basketball. I mean, I'm not denigrating Carmelo Anthony because I'm in his camp in terms of being just one of the great scorers in the league. But could you ever see Carmelo Anthony in a playoff game getting 12, 13 assists in a game? It just wouldn't happen.
I don't know. I mean, and I agree with that. That's I think that Carmelo deserves to have his players wrapped around him, just like Mike D'Antoni was able. Right now, you have a roster of Mike D'Antoni's players and some of Woodson's theories and Carmelo, and how that's going to blend, I'm not quite so sure. That's going to be the big decision and the conversation moving forward.
Oh, it certainly is. Here's the thing. You're going to have to surround Anthony with some guys that can shoot the basketball. By the same token, the Knicks have developed a defensive identity here that can't be sacrificed. They have to keep this defensive identity. So how do you walk that tightrope, plus, by the same token, run enough of a pick-and-roll system to make Amari Stoudemire the effective player he was 2 years ago, not what he was last year, and he needs to play in pick-and-roll to do that. That's a lot of challenges for Mike Woodson and a lot of challenges for Glenn Grunwald and Scott O'Neal from a personnel standpoint, and I think it may be a little too much for them to meet that.
Great job all season, my man. Look forward to seeing you over the next couple weeks and as we get into Summer League.
Tommy, my pleasure. Can't wait, my man.
And remember to get all your information on the Knicks, the draft, and the impending Summer League. Check out the knicksblog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network, and also check out HoopsCritic. For Brian, I'm Tommy. We'll see you next time. Be well, Moke. We'll see you soon.